The Nephilim sightings are going to start soon.
Consciousness has been enslaved.
Your consciousness does not need your physical body to survive.
It's the thing that's necessary. It has to be there. It's the coding that projects this world we currently live in.
He said, I want you to read the Bible.
We got reptilians on just outside of our frequency zone.
Six-dimensional beings, the ancient builder race.
Ideas are the highest form of intelligence, and that leads you to truth and clarity.
The Nephilim sightings are going to start soon.
Conspiracy chill.
If obviously aliens, our galaxy is insanely huge. We're just one planet.
They would have needed a minimum of 6 feet of lead shielding in order to get through the 25,000-mile thick Van Allen radiation belt.
This is real. They really did fake the moon landing.
The world is infinitely older than that. And I mean the world with human beings in it.
Skull and Bones is like one of the villains in the Legion of Doom.
He said, I want you to read the Bible.
The biblical flood, the Tartaria mud flood.
Conspiracy and chill.
The Nephilim sightings are going to start soon.
The bull god ball.
He said, I want you to read the Bible.
There's magnets in the basketballs. There was a political party, a third party called the Anti-Masonic Party at a point in the United States.
The Global Pandemic Treaty.
Conspiracy and Chill podcast.
I like the long hair mustache look too, gotta say.
Yeah, I just, it's been like 3 years. I just keep growing it. I don't know what to do with it. Girlfriend likes it, so.
Looks like he could go straight into some pro wrestling. Any plans on that?
No, he's not a pro wrestling fan.
Yeah, I'm not a pro wrestling.
I was just listening to you rant about pro wrestling, how you watched the Iron Claw, but yeah, not your cup of tea.
Well, it's a good movie, but I watched that. My girlfriend convinced me to watch it, and then I also watched this movie called For the Love of Catch. About Gotch and origins of catch wrestling, and they make some claims about one of the catch wrestling legends training Maeda, who later went to the Gracies. So they're kind of claiming that Gracies actually just stole catch wrestling. They just put a gi on and they renamed all this stuff.
Did you do catch wrestling too?
I've never officially done catch wrestling, but as a fighter, like if it hurts and it works,
of course,
there's plenty of things that I've come up with or I do or use that aren't necessarily things that are traditionally taught in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Yeah. But catch is a very like top dominant controlling type style, but it was also built off of professionals traveling and fighting hobos.
Take on all comers.
So the Boston Crab could work on somebody who's never grappled or done anything a day in his life,
That is hilarious. That's actually what I was in California for. I've been competing lately in catch wrestling, and I was with Eric Paulson and Josh Barnett. It was Josh Barnett's tournament and a bunch of dudes from England. And actually a lot of the people that were there and like competing and training were pro wrestlers primarily. And they're trying to like get more into the real roots of the grappling, I guess.
No, it's super interesting, the history of it. And I get it. Because, these guys, it'd be like me, like I'm going to go make some money. So I'm going to go on the train and I'm going to travel. And every stop, me and my friends are going to challenge the best guys in the land. And they're going to place bets. And like I can't just go out there and like smash everybody because then nobody else will want to challenge me.
Right.
And nobody will place any bets. So like they would go and they would just play with these guys, oh, you've got my arm. Oh, and then they'd get out of it and then they put them in a lock and then they'd give something up and they'd make it look like a close fight. And then when it was time to like get out of there, then they would win real quick and take the money and go. So, I mean, it makes sense. I get it. There's a carny grifter vibe to it and there's a realness to it. But when you start fixing things that are sold as a legitimate sporting competition, that starts bothering me. It starts getting I feel like it deflates real fight competition. It lets too many bad elements, too many bad promoters and shady promoters get in there and pull strings.
100%. I agree. And what the first version of them doing that would have been like, yeah, you're beating everybody's ass. And then you have your buddy who's with you, who's also a wrestler in the crowd. And you have someone bet on him and he steps up and pretends to be a random nobody. And then he beats your ass. Like same
Random
stuff.
traveler. And then, you make it make it like a good fight, you put on a good show. And then You guys meet up out of town and have beers.
Yeah, you got to think how awesome that would have been back then to be one of those guys, though.
That's a way to make a living.
Right.
You know all about shady promoters, right?
Oh man,
It's in their blood. It's in their blood.
it's just the intermediary to take the money away from the fighters, instead of just going right to the actual competitor. There's a middleman then.
Well, the promoter is supposed to work for the athlete. That's how it's supposed to work, right? Because your job as the athlete is to fight. Your job is to fight and win. That's it. It's their job to make sure everybody knows who the hell you are. It's their job to be loud and promote you and do the advertising for you. That way you can focus on training. You shouldn't have to be like yelling in a megaphone on a soapbox telling people about your fight yourself, which is exactly what they expect you to do today in MMA, right? Just look at the difference. Like I follow like Mayweather boxing, and you can follow the UFC, and like I just feel like Mayweather does a better job of like pushing their guys out there than the UFC does. It feels more like UFC and a lot of MMA promotions use the fighters' names to build their own brand rather than actually like cheering on the athlete and hyping the athlete up.
I was just telling Tom here before we went live. I think the first time I spoke with you, Jon, was like in 2016, and you had already been involved in the lawsuit for a few years. And I just think it's so cool, man, that here we are in 2024, and it's finally resolved. And not many people thought you would come out on top, and you did, and you persevered. And I just think that's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, it was. It's important that people remember it's only one part of a three-pronged attempt to like change the way that MMA is done in this industry. One is the lawsuit, because that's how other sports achieved their free agency and their collective bargaining agreements, either through lawsuits or through threat of lawsuits. Right? That's how all the other big sports became the big sports and started making the money. The athletes started making the money they're making, is because the government stepped in. They had to sue or had to threaten the lawsuit. So we still have to encourage fighters to join the Fighters Association, the MMAFA, and be active in that. If we can get everybody to sign up and pledge allegiance to the Fighters Association, we could start having votes and making decisions on what things we want to do and how we want to run things. We need to realize that we're only going to take care of each other because everybody else is pimping us out, like the managers, the coaches, the promoters themselves. They will stay in business. We only have a short time to compete and make money, and then we also need to get guys together to help push and promote the Ali Act. We need the Ali Expansion Act. We need to get the same legal protections that boxers get from promoters. There's no reason why we shouldn't have those same protections that they get.
Do you still follow the sport? Like, do you still watch fights?
I do my show, Jon Fitch Knows Nothing, every Sunday night at 7 on the left coast. And that's where I watch whatever violence I can on the weekend. A lot of bare knuckles events. I did watch a karate combat not long ago. Sometimes the boxing events we had Canelo and Lomachenko fighting relatively recently. So I'm always watching something, and then I talk about it on the show. And I started doing another show on Wednesday nights called Loose Change, and it's just a continuation of my other podcast show. Because sometimes during the week, other things happen and pop up worth talking about. So I'll talk about whatever weird thing popped up in the middle of the week.
Loose Change. Do you remember that documentary about the Twin Towers? That was called Loose Change, wasn't it? That's what it reminded me of.
That's immediately what came to mind too. I was going to say though, Jon, that you're the perfect guest for this show because, like, me being a grappler and a martial artist, and Mike being MMA journalist, and we've had that crossover with a lot of fighters and the conspiracy aspect. But like, your career kind of has a conspiracy to it, like even before the whole lawsuit, because you're on a great win streak. You're a top contender for the longest time.
The career pivot of what happened to me, like from I basically had two careers. I had pre contract dispute and post contract dispute. right? Pre-contact dispute was all my fights leading up to GSP, the GSP fight, and a short time after that, right? And then we had the video game dispute, and then I went from the next greatest thing. I was 8-0 going into the fight with GSP, so I was 8-1 with 4 finishes. Everybody thought I was, great and loved watching me fight. I headlined stuff and whatever, and then contract dispute, and then he's not very good. He's boring. He's not entertaining. Nobody wants to watch him fight. They stopped even interviewing me after fights, just because they know, like, if you want to build notoriety and a base of fans, like, they need to hear you talk. They need to see you after the fight. They need to get a human element of you after the fight. So if you're just rushed out the cage after your fight, I noticed they've done it to a few guys recently too, where they don't interview them after the fight. That's not an accident. It has nothing to do with timing or, we don't have enough time to fit all the fights in. Bullshit. Right? They have enough time. They have enough time to do 2 or 3 minute interview, talk to somebody. They choose not to take that time because they don't want people to get to know that fighter. They don't want that guy to be identifiable. They don't want anybody to start liking that guy because of something he says.
100%. And you think it arose from, you said, the video game contract or some dispute over your likeness?
No to them. Essentially, I said no to them. And I said no to them a few times because there was video game agreement, the merchandising agreement, that was shit too. And then them trying to make me fight Koscheck, right, for a non-title fight. So I was just like, no, like, I never looked at them as like, oh my God, you're the boss. You're so amazing. Like, I thank you for the opportunities. They're just another promoter. Like, who gives a shit? Like, there'll be other promotions. There's always other promotions. There were other places to go and make money that were just as big or bigger back then. So like, I was like, who is this guy? Like, who are you? I never understood the people who, kind of get on their knees for these people.
Right.
You're the show. Like, that's why they use your name on the marquee. You're the show, not the promoter. The promoter really isn't that material. It doesn't matter as much. Like, most people will never remember who the promoters are.
They were just upset you didn't want to play ball the way they did and
fighting
against the system.
Yep, I said no to them, and that's bad because then other people see, he's telling us no, that's not okay. We gotta deal with this. That whole thing, that whole video game agreement thing, that, like, they didn't contact me. They contacted the press. They canceled my contract because I wouldn't sign, and then they went to the press and said, yeah, we cut Jon Fitch and these guys we cut Jon Fitch because he's not. It was like me and Kasha, because they're not signing the video game agreement. They put that out in the press. Like, why? Why wouldn't you call us? Why wouldn't you, like, work with our managers? Why wasn't there communication in any way? They just went straight to the press. So I woke up to my news feed like I lost my job. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, that's not an accident. That's strategic. They know what they're doing. And sure enough, after that, like, I was going to leave and go to Strikeforce. I was fine with fighting for Strikeforce at the time. Like I said, there was places to go. They got mad at that because I was demonstrating that I could say no to them and continue to fight and make money. So they threatened to cut all of my teammates, everybody from AKA. Everybody from AKA and everybody who was represented by my management was Zeke Entertainment. So that means they would have cut Kane if he lost. There wouldn't have been a DC. There wouldn't have been a Rockhold. Like, that was what they were telling me. So I was like, fine, right? I don't want to be a problem. I'll just sign the stupid video game thing. Whatever. I'm gonna win my next fights and win the title, and then you're gonna have to kiss my ass. That was my mindset. But yeah, like, that was a big strong arm tactic. Then everybody else who saw that, like, all the signatures poured in after that little event, that little stunt. It worked 100%.
Dude, and it's got to be so fucking frustrating to, do everything right, be a top contender, dominate all your fights, essentially, like, put all your hard work to use in what you think is, a legitimate sport. At least as far as other sports go, you have pretty much full control over your destiny. You trained your best. You get to control the outcome. It's an individual sport. And then to still get, blacklisted and not get the title shot or have it, taken from you Are you familiar with Bilal Muhammad?
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, yeah. They're giving him that treatment right now.
100%. That's one of my guys, one of my friends and
Acosta
training partners.
Cortez
And
this past
terrible.
weekend is getting heat from winning his fight. Like, come on, he's fighting a giant striker. You're mad at him because he used MMA, he used mixed martial arts, he used the mixed part of martial arts to like gain an advantage. I don't understand these people. One championships has small glove Muay Thai. Small glove Muay Thai. Bare knuckles exists. Like, why are you guys wasting your time watching MMA? I don't get it at all. It's like, I'm gonna start going to tennis matches and be like, boo, use your feet.
Yeah.
Kick the ball, you suck. Make it make sense to me. I've never understood that. You know, I don't particularly like most of this sport, but I'm going to still watch it for the tiny piece that I like and then complain about all the stuff that doesn't fit that tiny aspect that I like.
That is a funny analogy with the tennis one.
Yeah,
but you're right. They can watch something else if they don't like the grappling. That is the point of mixed martial arts.
It's to a point now where there's sometimes when a guy will have a takedown and side control, and they'll separate him and stand him up, but it's like he worked so hard to get that position, and because he might not have moved in 10 seconds, it's because fan pressure, you know.
A lot of people are so clueless about the skill set of fighters today. They think the fighters today are so advanced over guys 20 years ago, 30 years ago. No, bullshit. Right? I've been watching fights from the 90s. Okay, the 90s. I was watching this like Clash of Champions 9 or something like that. It's from 1990. They filmed it in Southern California, right? It was 4-man tournament. They had 155, 70 something, 85 heavyweight, and it was no closed fist to the face, right? But they could kick to the face. They could leg kick, takedowns, full submissions on the ground. Just no punching to the face. You could hit to the body, you could elbow to the body, you could headbutt to the body, just no punches to the face. These guys were skilled. They were throwing big kicks, body kicks, kicks to the legs, hitting takedowns, working submissions. They knew some ground. There's been a false narrative told to people about the UFC origin and the Gracies and all this stuff, right? There were lots of guys who could have probably won the first UFC tournament easily, but they were not allowed to compete.
Yep.
Right?
There wasn't even a real wrestler in the first few.
There was I can't remember who the guy was. There was a guy who was like on the Olympic ladder as a wrestler, a judokan, and he had trained boxing for some years. Like, that was somebody that they were trying to get into those early UFCs, and they were just like, would not, because he was too good, too advanced. Like, there's a lot of, I don't know. I've been surfing just a lot of old fights. Gracie fighting championships in 2007, right? They did it in like Columbus, Ohio. Like Matt Brown, Jacques Ray. There's a bunch of fights on that card. It was pretty great, and the skills of the guys fighting were pretty damn good. Like, I wouldn't say that your average UFC fighter would have beaten any of those guys in that card. You know, like, solid people, good stand up. I actually kind of think the fighters, a lot of them have gotten watered down with their skill sets because they're starting to become jacks of all trades, right? They know a little bit of everything, but they have never specialized and dominated in any one thing, any one field. Sorry, I got these little fucking bugs in here. Look like a crazy guy.
Well, you're on the Crazy Guy podcast.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You know, so yeah, I mean, I don't know, just I think there's something a little bit missing, and then I think there's a lot of that attitude of just, you know, getting, you know, clout chasing and just being popular. Like, people are gonna know me. I'm gonna get knocked out real bad, and people are gonna know me. Like, there's not really a desire to actually fight. They just want to be seen. I don't know, because you remember, man, back in the 90s, early 2000s, guys were traveling all over, sometimes out of pocket, to fight for $100, $500. Yeah, I've driven hundreds of miles to fight for $250. Like, how many guys are guys still doing that today?
There was a lot more heart and passion, and like I don't know what to call it. I guess the Zuffa era, like the height of your career kind of time. Like, when there wasn't fights every single weekend, and the pay-per-views was like a much more big deal, and they were stacked, and like you said, the guys were more specialized in their styles. It made for interesting matchups. I don't think I'm just being nostalgic by saying that era was way more entertaining and awesome. It really just was.
I miss it.
Same.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, I like watching highlights, and instantly if I see sponsors on shorts, I know it's going to be a good fight, and there's no way that you can tell me that Bas Rutten, Frank Shamrock, Guy Metzger, Dan Severn, you can't tell me those guys weren't fucking talented.
Yep. Marco Huas.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back. I'm gonna try to find it, but I'm gonna go back and watch the Pride Light Heavyweight Grand Prix.
Oh yeah.
You guys remember that?
Hell yeah.
If any of you guys listeners back home have never seen that, dude, like go do that and go watch. There was just a bunch of killers. Every fight was crazy.
Literally. And to kind of swing things in a different direction, during your career, obviously we kind of went over the lawsuit and the Shady like blackball and stuff, but do you have any maybe crazy or unexplainable, just kind of wild moments behind the scenes?
Man, I don't know if I have anything in particular that really reminds me off the top of my head.
What was your favorite place you got to go fight?
Well, yeah, but best trip was definitely Brazil. Right, they had a Rio card recently, and I got to fight down in Rio too, and that was great. That was Bonner Silva. I fought Eric Silva down there, and I stayed a little extra. I got there a little early, and I stayed a little extra. I got to go and see the big Jesus statue and the big mountain with the cable car thing, and it was just awesome, man. The food was crazy, beaches were awesome. It's great night of fights.
I'm sure that was badass.
It was pretty spectacular.
And
yeah.
then
We went into right on the edge of like the Amazon. We went kind of inland for a couple days, and I just one morning, like it was like a few days after the fight, wake up, have my Brazilian coffee. It's kind of like gritty, and then smoke a joint, have my coffee, and I'm looking at this giant like forest and mountain. It was freaking crazy, dude.
Hell yeah.
The forest washing, they talk about forest bathing. Like,
oh yeah, it's a real thing.
Nowhere.
Go out barefoot, grounded.
Yeah.
Were you smoking your whole career? Because I never would have took you as a stoner back in the day.
Yeah, pretty much. It was, once I got to California, it was just the best way to deal with pain and get some rest and sleep, and it was a way I could have a little bit of fun and not go out drinking and partying or do whatever and not popping pills. Around 2011, I started having like neck issues, and I started using that to really help with pain relief and stuff. I had a friend that OD'd, Eric Ray, was a fighter. He OD'd like in 2005 from opiates, and I just wanted to stay away from pills. Like even when I had my shoulder surgery, like I didn't take any pain pills. I just mostly just smoked.
Nice. Then it should be an easy segue then. Maybe not on the fighting side, but is there any just crazier things that you believe or you get into that some people might not know that you believe in, or conspiracies, ghosts, anything? Any experiences personal?
If you've been watching my timelines I've been a skeptic of the government for a very long time. I studied history in college. I've been paying attention politically. I kind of tuned out at 2001, like weapons of mass destruction. I was like, y'all lying. This is some horse shit. Like I ain't paying attention to this shit. And then I was forced into paying attention to politics in 2008 with the financial crisis, and I purchased a home, so my house went deep under. That pissed me off, and that led me to Ron Paul, right? And a sound monetary system, and understanding that the U.S. we've been going through an economic collapse since the 70s, right? We're like the Titanic. When the Titanic hit the iceberg, it didn't sink like in the first hour. It took like a really long time for anybody to even know that it was sinking. Well, I think people are starting to notice there's water now. I think we hit the iceberg in the 70s, and we just started taking on water now. Well, maybe we hit the iceberg in 1913, the Federal Reserve. Maybe that's when we first hit the iceberg. But things got really bad in the 70s when we decoupled from gold, and now we're just printing money like crazy. So I was telling people to buy Bitcoin back in 2014. I was even sending people Bitcoin through Twitter. There was an app thing that they were trying to promote, and you could be like, here's a beer on me, and it would send you $3.50 worth of Bitcoin. And today that's probably like $350 or something, because of how much Bitcoin was back then.
Yeah, I'm not a crypto guy by any means. I probably should have got on that a long time ago.
It's still early, because if there's ever going to be 21 million made, there's not that many to go around, and all the institutional investors are kind of buy up as much Bitcoin as they can as a hedge for inflation. I would definitely. I'm not a financial advisor by any means, and that's not financial advice, but diversity I think is good in your money. A little bit of Bitcoin, a little bit of silver, a little bit of gold, some stocks, I think is not a bad idea.
Yeah, we know they control things in a nuts and bolts type of way against us, but what are your thoughts on maybe more spiritual or behind the scenes or hidden hand type of occult type of shit?
You know, it's hard for me to believe that there is any super organized cult of Satanists doing anything, right? Do I think there's some depraved and sick people who kind of open themselves up to evil or demons, I guess? And, you know, people like Diddy, people like Epstein, right, and the people who operate them. I think there are, you know, people out there that do that stuff. But I think you're getting too deep in the weeds if you're thinking it's a death cult or you know, they're sacrificing babies. I think it's a step too far.
We're pretty deep in the weeds around here.
Do you think we went to
the moon? I know, like, I do a show with Jason Burmis. He actually was one of the producers, I think, on that Loose Change documentary.
Oh, wow.
And we talk a lot of conspiracy stuff and the transgenderism and transgender imperative and all that stuff. And I always go back to the same thing, and it's people are kind of stupid and they make a lot of mistakes and they're really egotistical and they run their mouths. And it's really hard for me to believe that people are that good at keeping secrets. You know, it's really hard for me to believe that people are that good at keeping secrets. And I think there's plenty of people who are manipulating things for power and money, but I don't know if like that. I don't think it's hard for me to think that, yeah, we're going to like sacrifice a baby and do weird sex orgy stuff because we're so rich we're bored or whatever. I don't know. That seems like, for me, like the whole Bohemian Grove, I think it's a psyop. I think Alex Jones works for them.
Wow.
Works for the government.
Controlled op.
Yep. Controlled opposition, I believe. Because that's one thing I do believe. I think there are very powerful people who can limit reach, right? They can turn down your antenna. They can make less people see your posts. They can make less people see you. They cannot give as much attention to you. In my opinion, anybody who's actually getting blasted and getting a lot of attention, it's manufactured. There's somebody got a hook at them somewhere, because they could just flip the switch and that guy's gone.
Yeah, I tend to agree. If you're
they don't have to tolerate it. You know, the powerful people, the rich people. If Hillary Clinton really has all these body counts, like why would they let Joe Rogan keep running his mouth?
Yeah, info's only.
Why would Alex Jones? Why wouldn't he have gotten in a drunk driving accident a long time ago?
Only pushed as hard as they'll allow it to.
You know,
gain as much traction as they push.
Things that you know, even the Sandy Hook stuff. I think all that is one big psyop. I think they set him up to say those things, and now everybody's talking about this stuff, and not the monetary system collapsing, not the wars in other countries, not poverty and the homeless people. None of those things get talked about. Everybody's talking about this crazy shit.
One of my favorite ones is the moon. Do you think we went to the moon?
Man,
I don't think so.
I used to really believe it, but It's too much time has passed. It makes zero sense. It makes zero sense. You're telling me, oh, there's no money in it. Bullshit. I talked about this on my show for a bit. I had a little rant. Bullshit. There's no billionaires that are like I want to get a moon rock, bitch. Like nobody's gonna fucking put the money up to take a space ride to the moon. Bullshit. Bullshit. Especially all these clout chasing streamers and whatever. They're gonna find ways to make the money. Mr. Beast isn't going to the moon. My ass. How much is it gonna cost? We sent people up to the moon with less technology than what's in my phone.
Exactly.
That seems iffy.
If we went to the moon 10 years after, there would be hotels up there. It would be a huge tourist industry. Not one other country has sent a live person to the moon since. That's, I don't know. Come on, man.
Not a single person. Not even like a cool drone. Like maybe you should be able to like set a cool drone and firework display or some shit on 4th of July or shoots lasers off of it on the 4th of July. Something cool. Nope.
Have you ever seen something that you would consider like a ghost or something? I personally haven't. I'm open to there being a possibility of them. I just haven't seen anything with my own eyes that I can say, yeah, that is. Do you have any stories like that maybe?
I got 2 stories.
Nice.
One, driving in high school at night, look up and it's far away. I see a light. It's moving way too fast and too erratically to be a plane or a helicopter or whatever. That was a few seconds that just took off. There was a trail and it was gone. I was like, what the fuck? So that happened. I saw something weird in the sky. No idea what that could have been. And that was over 20 years ago. And then I had a friend down in Huntington Beach going to Irvine. You see Irvine, right? So I'd go to Irvine, stay down there, and in the house, they had mentioned that they thought there was a ghost, like a little girl ghost there, and that people commonly would fall asleep and get sleep paralysis in the house, right? Like all the time, like people who would always fall asleep would get sleep paralysis in the house. They said they thought it was because the little girl spirit was like holding them down. And then the thing with little girl is like you'd never like see her. It was always you would see in your periphery her reflection or something in a mirror, right? So you'd come out of the shower, you whatever, and you just see a blur. And you'd look, and then it would be gone. But like I had a couple of experiences where I thought I saw something in my periphery, and then I got the sleep paralysis like 4 or 5 times in that house.
And you never had a sleep paralysis before or since?
A couple times in my house when I was a kid. Nothing I was concerned about. But I don't know if anything real happened or maybe it was suggestive. Maybe it was people talking about it and then it gets suggested and then now it's in your head. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily a believer in any of that stuff, but whatever. I can take a note that something weird happened.
Flat Earth or round Earth?
That's an easy one.
What's that? Flat Earth, round Earth? I'm still a round Earth because we have sailors. We have people who navigate the seas using just the stars. And if somebody can, I would think they would be able to tell by looking at the stars, like where they're at. I think you should be able to use math. I'd seen somewhere that it said you can drive a straight line or sail a straight line from Alaska to India. But the only way that's possible is if the Earth is a globe. Because if it wasn't a globe, then you would have to go around edges and stuff.
I'm a glober too, yeah.
But I will say this. In my older years, I realized that a lot of what we've been told is bullshit. And if you haven't been able to apply the scientific method in some sort on your own to a subject, you really don't know. You really don't know anything. So I'm looking at everything as an interesting theory. That's an interesting theory. Unless I know for sure because I experienced it, because I could do the experiment myself. I could do the A/B testing myself, right? I can hold my glass and let go and it's going to fall. I'm going to be like, okay, yeah, that gravity thing, I get it, right? I can drive my car and hit the brakes and feel myself move forward. I'm like, oh, inertia. I see that things in motion do tend to stay in motion. I can prove that myself. But if I can't prove it myself, I'm at the point now where I'm like, it's interesting. Because a lot of like the political stuff nowadays, it's just who knows what's real, and most of it I have no control over, and it doesn't really personally affect me straight up. So like, interesting. Okay, thanks. Like, it's hard for me to get invested in.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with it, especially same like you said, knowing that most of what we have been taught is a lie. It makes it hard for me to trust anyone, and I just have a distrust of NASA, who lied to us about going to the moon and was started by Nazis, started by Freemasons. So just I'm skeptical of whatever it is they're trying to tell us.
Mm-hmm.
Aliens.
There's a comedian named Owen Benjamin that
oh hell yeah,
and he goes hard on the moon landing and flat Earth and a lot of stuff.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, he's an interesting one.
Points of view. He's made me think about a few things pretty hard. He's not real keen on crypto though.
He's a smart guy though, so when he is talking about, he's very persuasive. I know what you mean. He has opened my mind to a few things too that I thought, no fucking way. But yeah, no, Owen Benjamin.
You have to understand what he's doing at first, because he's I don't even think he believes some of the stuff he says. He's just trying to make people think. So he'll say the most outrageous thing to be like, why, like, why do you believe what you believe? Like, I don't even know if he's actually a flat earther, but I think like he wants to make you explain why you think the globe, why it's a globe, why is it round? Like, do you actually know, or are you just accepting it because somebody told you?
For sure. His ability to mock and like parody things is fucking hilarious. And I think that's probably what he's doing a little bit too, just kind of parodying everybody and everybody's belief systems.
Yeah. Oh no, because like all the stuff he was saying about Bitcoin and crypto was hilarious. Because it is like, I got out of the space, like I held on to my stuff, but like I got out of that space because it was like in 2018, 2017, it was like kind of toxic and annoying and gross and a lot of just grifters. And I was like, man, I don't like most of this stuff. I don't believe in. I believe in the technology behind the Bitcoin. I believe in like our monetary system falling apart and needing the hedge, but I don't want to deal with these scammers and these what were they, the initial stake offering or whatever they're the ICOs or ISOs or whatever that they were doing. It was, I don't know, it was crazy times. And then another cycle comes through and we get the NFTs and all that crazy shit. I don't even know what's going on now. I'm just holding on to my Bitcoin.
Dude, the NFTs, I still don't understand why anybody would want an NFT. I just fucking screenshot it. I don't know. I don't understand why people ever thought that was a thing. Do you believe in aliens? I'm a huge alien guy. I don't know what the fuck they are, but
I don't think so. I mean, like squids and octopuses, I think are probably aliens.
No doubt.
I think unless there is some technology that allows people to travel faster than the speed of light, the universe is too big for there to be aliens to ever get to us. So they were like, that's two things I would have to believe in. Like, I would have to believe in this technology that just snaps life forms, billions of light years away from each other into each other's space. I think it's more likely that we have a lot of government drone and spy programs. We don't hear about a lot of these things because our government doesn't want us to be scared. It doesn't want us to know about different spy things coming over. Remember there was like a Chinese spy balloon not long ago?
That was hilarious.
And they just kind of pushed that under the rug. I think we're doing the same thing to them. I don't think we know all the technology of the things that our government has. So I don't know. I think a lot of it's just misdirection too. I think the government will put time and energy and money into fake programs to make people think that that's a real thing. It's a distraction. It's a distraction to truth seekers, I guess, and it's a distraction to other governments because these other governments are like, oh, wait, they got aliens over there? Oh shit, who knows what kind of crazy alien technology they might have. So I think they use our tax money and they print more money to do stupid programs, like the whole like psychic goat program thing. That was a real thing. I think there's that guy who talks about the spaceship And I think that guy really thinks he saw what he saw, and he was being paid to do what he was being paid to do. But I think everything was fake.
Bob Lazar?
Yeah, Bob Lazar, right? I think he was lied to. I think he believes everything and he saw things, but I think it was just all a big trick, and he wanted to believe, so it was probably a lot easier to trick him.
Well, he even said too that his words were, you know, they could have totally been feeding me this to puppet, because I guess the word around town was that he was kind of a big mouth at the bar. He did kind of have a loose mouth, so I mean it kind of feeds into exactly what you were saying. Do you think that's kind of what, like, you know, recently David Grush has been, you know, going before Congress and doing all that BS, and he's intelligence.
It's
So
a distraction. It's 100% I think a distraction. People
Yeah.
are talking about that and what's going on with the banks right now. What's going on with debt? The housing market going to be propped up? How long is the stock market going to keep getting propped up with printed money and companies buying back their own stock?
I mean, yeah, trying to just give something else to think about as the empire is crumbling. And it's funny what you said, that you think it could have all just been, you know, orchestrated from the beginning and they pumped money into it. One of our guests before, Walter Bosley, I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but he was the first to say, or the first that I've ever heard at least say, that Roswell was like a double, triple psyop, that Roswell's crash was one of our crafts. Like, we had a top secret craft we were testing, it crashed, and then because they didn't want either our, you know, rivals or the public to know that we were flying around some crazy high-tech shit, that they instead used it as an opportunity to be like, all right, aliens, we'll tell them it was an alien crash, and then they'll think, you know, we have an alien epidemic at hand and we can use that to our advantage. And then plus our enemies will think, yeah, we're reverse engineering alien technology. Really, we have the technology to do this while we keep them on gasoline and buying paying for electricity and shit. Meanwhile, we could be zooming around in Jetsons UFOs.
Got space lasers.
we do have a space force now. Trump made that so.
I don't know if you guys remember this, if you're old enough for this, but there was a movie back in the 80s called Spies Like Us, right?
I've never seen it.
It was Dan Aykroyd and Chevy Chase. And the whole thing was kind of talking about Ronald Reagan's space program, right? Because they had the space laser stuff. They were supposed to shoot down nukes. Like, they were selling that. Like, that was a real thing back in the 80s. And we still don't have that shit. We still don't have space lasers. Like,
some people think nukes don't exist.
That's another.
I mean, dinosaurs too.
Conspiracy.
Have you heard that dinosaurs don't exist, people?
I've heard that because it's interesting, because their claim is like they haven't ever found a full skeleton of any of these dinosaurs.
Not even close. Yeah.
Yeah, they found 10% of a skeleton, and they just recreate the rest of it. They find a toe and a heel, and they're like, look at this fucking raptor that kills things and eats goats and whatever. It's like, you have no idea.
I mean, when I was growing up, dinosaurs had scales. Now, supposedly, they have feathers. So, who knows?
I like to think they could have been dragons. Maybe dragons were real, and there was.
Well, that's what a lot of people think, that they, that's why the word, that dragon, the image of the dragon and talking about the dragon is so universal in different cultures at different time periods. And I think maybe that because they did maybe unearth some of the dragons, or they found some fossils that made them think that was a dragon.
I don't know. Dragons is a hard one for me to jump on, and I'm a huge Dungeons and Dragons nerd. So, no one would want dragons to be real more than me, but that's a hard one for me,
So I would think it would have been, let's say, I don't know how I subscribe to the timeline of how old the Earth is, or how long ago dinosaurs would have been around. But let's say it was some type of ancient reptile, and some of them survived until humans were around, or maybe they were around with early primitive human, and there were small populations of them left over in the jungle or in a cave or some shit, and the villagers and whatever knew, like, hey, don't go over there, you're gonna get fucking eaten by this big prehistoric creature, like some huge alligator or something of the sort, a large snake or just reptilian thing. So that's when the most badass hero or knight, or they would send the village to go slay the dragon, because there was some sort of threat.
That was, what is it? Beowulf was one of the first written stories ever, was the guy going out and fighting the dragon.
Yeah, endless tales.
But no, I was watching something about this the other day, because there's like ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs that look like brontosauruses. There's caveman paintings of different like big lizard looking things. Like, so there's a lot of like drawings of humans with things that look like some type of giant reptile.
Right. Why would their zodiac thing have all real animals and then one fake animal? It's like, I would assume if they had other fake animals, they would have thrown a unicorn or a griffin or something else up there too. So who knows?
I know.
Mike, what else?
I know that dragons weren't real. I know that much. Well, Jon, it's always fun talking to you, brother. I really appreciate you doing this. I know it's been a minute, but where can everybody get some more of your stuff? I know you mentioned that you do a couple of shows and everything.
Yeah, you can go to jonfitch.net, sign up for the newsletter. I've got all my stuff links up there. I need to redo it, but everything's up there. Jon Fitch Smash on Instagram, jonfitch.net spelled out on Twitter. Yeah, I'm pretty easy to reach through DMs. Official Jon Fitch is my YouTube page. I do online instruction with people, fighting stuff, jiu-jitsu, weights, whatever. And then I have stuff on my Gumroad. So if you guys check all my link stuff in my descriptions on my videos or on my social media accounts, you go to the Gumroad. I got online programs for lifting, nutrition, cardio, and a lot of my seminars and teaching. I film stuff and I put little packages and programs together for people so they can get some extra education outside of their normal training place.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on, bro. True legend, true pioneer of the sport. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'll check you guys later.
Jon Fitch.
Always crazy to talk to dudes that I grew up watching fight and used to be like so starstruck and shit, and just have a humanizing, chill, conspiracy conversation with them.
Yeah. I'm not here to make an argument that he's the best of all time. He's not.
You think he's overrated or underrated?
I don't think he's appreciated enough. I don't,
for sure.
I don't think he's not top 5, but in my opinion, he was probably in his prime. He was a top 10 guy, like right around that area. He was really good. Just his style wasn't super entertaining to people that didn't like grappling. And I think that kind of, and it doesn't help when you got Dana White, bad mouthing you. That doesn't help, He
had a lot of things going against him. Obviously, me as a wrestler and a grappler, a dude that could control somebody so well was entertaining for me to watch, and I think it was exciting. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of grapplers in MMA that I don't find entertaining or like to watch. That is, it's pretty lackluster. But I always liked Jon Fitch. He was a fucking beast for sure. Gave George St. Pierre a good fight. That was the golden era too. So much love for any of those guys from that time. Some of my favorite guests.
Oh yeah, and he's retardedly rich now.
Oh, really?
Because that settlement, bro.
The settlement.
So it was a ridiculous hundreds of millions of dollars, and then the 3 primary plaintiffs were him, Nate Quarry, and Kung Lee.
Yeah.
So they get the bulk of it. So, but even let's say there's 150 fighters in the lawsuit. Okay, so you spread 350 million. Well, that's before taxes. So let's say you take 180 million. You spread that through 150 fighters. Okay. But the bulk of that 180 is going to go to those 3 main guys. So at the very least, let's go low. Let's go super low. Jon's got 15 million in the bank.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Fucking fought the system and won.
Yeah, no doubt. And he doesn't need to be podcasting. He doesn't need to be selling anything. My point is, he's got money. He's doing this because he wants to do it. So I think that's cool too. But who really thought that they were going to win that lawsuit? There was 2. One got dismissed right away, and dude, here we are all these years later.
I wonder how Mark Hunt's fight is going.
Yeah, that's another one.
He was probably one of the few guys, like he even said, though, to just be like, okay, it's just a job. It's just a boss. Like, looking at it like that is so much funnier. Like, it's your country, like, boss at the warehouse or at something else, and it's Dana White in the UFC, and you're just like, oh well, like, yeah, this is his job. Like, fuck him. I don't really care.
You know what I found super fun and interesting in the podcast was, you know, so we started opening up the conspiracy talk. And he's like, yeah, you know, I'm not too into da-da-da. And then he proceeds to go, like, he lists all these conspiracies that he totally buys into. I love it, you know? It's like, yeah, I don't know, I'm not too. And then he's like, well, definitely this one. Of course, no. Yeah, that one for sure. It's like, all right, yeah, okay. You're one of us.
People who don't consider themselves a conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is just becoming more so common knowledge nowadays that it's not even the kook. It's just everyone has their own spectrum that they believe conspiracies. Starting out with, okay, yeah, the government kind of lied to us, maybe, to, holy shit, the world is run by interdimensional demons and it's run by its servants or its possessed fucking lackeys.
And one of my favorites of late is Flat Earth. And if anybody's listening and they consider themselves a Flat Earth expert or they know somebody, please let us know, because we have been trying to get a Flat Earth expert guest on here so we can talk to him. We've explored it very rudimentary. We'd like to, you know, take a deep dive and put some chill vibes into it. So someone that is listening hopefully is an expert or they know an expert. They can get in touch with Tom or I, Tom and or myself via social media at Two Truth Seekers, or you could reach out to me at Sawbuck Mike, or you could reach out to Tom at Headhunter Higgins, or you could email us at conspiracyandchill@yahoo.com. If you want to be one of the very first Conspiracy and Chill Syndicate members, you can do so at Patreon. If you want to help support the show, you could do so for as little as $3 by hitting that little button on whatever platform you're listening to us on. If you can't do any of that, but you still want to help out, give us a 5-star review. That shit really helps. What else you got?
Nothing.
All right. Stay away from pedophiles.